All right, let's talk about the Olympic Stadium, the big O. Looks like the renovation project for that aging structure will get yet another boost from Quebec City. We head over now to the one reporter that's been all over this, breaking some news on that front this week. Jeremy Filosa is a sports journalist over at Cogeco Nouvelles, and he joins us on the line. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having me back.
$875 million being spent right now on the technical ring and the roof, but that still leaves us with an interior that needs a lot of work. Why don't we break down the rest of the work that needs to be done and what you uncovered this week?
Well, the intentions of the Parc Olympique is to reopen the stadium in 2028, completely renovated. This is their objective. Now, as you mentioned, the money that's been released right now was only for the roof and the technical ring around the roof, which was $870 million. Now, I'm hearing some rumors, and I don't have confirmation on this, that they might be a little bit under budget, so there may be a portion of this money that will be able to be applied on other stuff, like the sound system, for example. We know the lighting is going to be replaced, but what they'd like to do on the inside is replace every seat. They'd like to get the suites updated. They'd like to get the bathrooms updated, concession stands. So that's going to take a lot of money, and especially they want to restructure the lower bowl, which is the section which is the closest to the field, which are the seats that are the most important, because those are the seats that cost the most, and they'd like to be able to have it flexible for soccer and baseball, but they want it to look a lot better than what it used to look like. So they are now working with the Populous firm, which is one of the best in the world in terms of stadium infrastructures, to try and get that done so that we have people comfortably sitting in their seats as close as possible to the field, whether it be soccer, football, or baseball, and obviously to look also very good on television. But that's going to cost a lot of money. And according to the information I was able to gather this week, whether it be in May or June, over these next couple of weeks or months, there will be a confirmation from the Quebec government that a new injection of funds will be going in order to take care of all these renovations that absolutely need to be done.
So injection of funds, it's an interesting way to talk about what could be, $500 million more, $1 billion more? Like, I'm looking at, I look at what they've done in Toronto with the Rogers Centre, right, the home of the Blue Jays. They've spent more than $500 million to make the interior. By the way, they've made it unbelievably beautiful, but it costs a lot of money. Is that the type of dollars we're talking about here, Jeremy?
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, the upgrades inside Olympic Stadium are going to cost a lot more. I think Rogers Centre was $300 million over 2 separate years. But the reality is the inside of Olympic Stadium is a lot older than what they had there at the Rogers Centre. Also, the Rogers Centre has focused on being a baseball-only stadium. They've kicked the Argonauts out. They no longer play there, so it's baseball only. And as you mentioned, they've really turned a stadium into a ballpark. It is now a ballpark, and when you walk in, it is absolutely stunning and beautiful. The situation here is a little bit different because they want to be able to have other sports. CF Montreal will probably play there during the winter because they're switching to a winter calendar. The Alouettes are having trouble at McGill, and they're considering going there also permanently. So it's got to look very good inside. And the reality is, I know a lot of people are listening and they're saying, I can't believe they're going to put more money in this project. But, when you decide that you're going to redo the roof, you don't have much of a choice than to redo the inside. Otherwise, it's a non-starter. As you mentioned, you have a brand new roof, but everything inside is old school, and nobody's going to come and rent that stadium in the conditions that it was in when it was left off before they started removing this roof. So you don't really have a choice if you want to give yourself a chance at having events in that stadium on a regular basis. The inside needs to be redone. There's no other option.
Here's what's not adding up for me. I understand the dollar signs, they add up. But as you just said, CF Montreal, the Alouettes, right? And nothing's perfect at Molson Stadium for the Alouettes, right? Like, they don't even have seats at that stadium. Like, you sit on benches, it's a terrible experience comfort-wise, okay? But here's what I'm thinking, Jeremy. Like, for the Alouettes, okay, they renovate Olympic Stadium, they make it into a beautiful new stadium inside. Then you put the CFL into a new Olympic Stadium, and you draw 15,000, 20,000, maybe 25 into a stadium that seats 60, And I'm like, don't we remember what happened to the Alouettes in the 90s? The Olympic Stadium almost killed that franchise, and it was thanks to you two and being forced out to McGill that they have survived. So I'm just like, wait a minute, are they truly considering going back to the stadium that is very cavernous, that is probably far too big for CFL attendance numbers? Aren't we crazy to even consider that?
Yeah, the first thing is, I think the first couple of years you won't have an issue because you'll have the novelty, right?
Mm-hmm.
People will want to come and see the stadium. They'll come and watch some games. You'll have some good crowds. But after that, as you mentioned, the organizations, whether it be CF Montreal or the Alouettes, need to make a massive effort in order to make sure that you're going to draw those crowds. I can make a comparison right now with the Whitecaps in Vancouver, where they play in a big stadium that's also been renovated, also been paid for by taxpayers' dollars, and the Whitecaps are not drawing enough, even though they are drawing pretty well, 23,000, but they still can't make it worth their while because the government needs to make their money also, so that the lease is a little bit too expensive for them, and now they're threatening to leave and to go to Las Vegas. So definitely it's an issue, but the reality is every big city needs a big stadium. This is the one that we'll have, and they're also going to be extremely aggressive in trying to bring other events back. Obviously, maybe the car show, the home show, whether it be the motocross or the monster truck here. Every possible event that they think they can attract to the Olympic Stadium.
It's the music shows, right? It's like they want the Taylor Swifts, right? That's the big catch for them.
Yes, definitely. And it's obviously they're working very hard right now at making sure that the new sound system is adequate, because the reality is the way that this stadium is made, it's a problem for the sound. It just doesn't sound good. So this sound system needs to be tested and made sure that all the new artists that decide to come to Montreal, when people sit into the seats, they'll have a quality experience. And they're working on that hard right now. And, the big issue with Olympic Stadium, because a lot of people tell me, how come this stadium got renovated for this amount of money, this other stadium got renovated for this amount of money, and it's costing a lot more in Montreal? Well, the reality is Olympic Stadium is a unique stadium. It's not one of those cookie-cutter stadiums from the 80s and 90s where everything is made the same, depending on, all the cities. So everything needs to be custom made. When they replaced the technical ring, they needed to custom make every single piece that went up there. They had to build it. So that cost a lot more money. Same thing for the roof right now. There is no roof that you can just go to Reno Depot or Home Depot and say, hey, I'd like to buy this roof and put it up on my stadium. They have to build it. And that's what costs so much money. That's, if Roger Taillibert has one regret, it's probably making the stadium a little bit too unique, and every single time we need to fix something, it needs to be made custom, and it costs so much more money.
Jeremy, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, of all people, just a hot take on the Canadiens game tonight, Habs and Sabres.
Well, listen, I took the Sabres in 5 at the beginning of this series. I think that the Canadiens got everything they could handle in that first series against Tampa. I thought they made it through in Game 7 by the skin of their teeth. They had nothing left in the tank in that game where they only had those 9 shots. So I look at the difference in physicality between the Sabres and Canadiens, and I think it's going to be a little bit tough to surmount. But you know what? All year, every time we thought the Canadiens were down and out, they came back, they bounced back, they surprised us. So that's been their MO all year. So we'll just have to watch.
Let me read you a text message from a listener, Jeremy, and maybe this is something for a future story for you. As a Montreal Alouettes season ticket holder for over 25 years, I would never renew my season tickets if they move to Olympic Stadium. All right, just so you know, that's one person's take.
I would tell that person, you'll have to walk into the stadium, see what it looks like when it's all redone, and you'll probably say to yourself, I've never, ever walked into such a modern-looking stadium in the city in my life. And then you'll have to decide from that point.
Must follow on Twitter, Jeremy Filosa. Go find him on X, Jeremy Filosa, all one word there. Jeremy, take care. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Jeremy Filosa, sports journalist at Cogeco Nouvelles.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back.
2010s, the decade.
To the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
and more. All your decade-defining favorites, all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away.